Hello, Saberland. Scott JUA back again. This is the second part of the father-son duo that Korbanth sent me. So Randy sent me his unopened, unmessed with Trid Cloudwalker Anakin Attack of the Clones. And this one was a polished version. When I got it in, the first things I took a look at the state of everything. The polish was... There was some polishing compound left over, and there was plenty of little micro scratches, and I did my best to repolish those out without taking a machine to them. But it is looking nice. So I have this apart for one reason. I've had this completed for probably about a week so far, but I've been waiting for the knurl to come in for my lathe so I could put the correct knurl on it, and sure enough, there you go. So while it was off, I wanted to show you how to get SD card access and everything. I used the hollow core that Trid shipped with it. I lathed down, I cut it off, so the hollow core has two pieces, or one long piece, and it has an arm that comes out and the pommel is connected to it. Well, I had to cut that off completely, so cut the pommel off, his pommel was gone. I lathed down the inside of that secondary ring, and I machined a tube to go inside. The reason for this is the way the grips are designed with that, there's no real good way to keep them in unless you adhere them to something. And to make this electronics worthy, it really was less than ideal for how you would really want to put those grips on there. There was no real good way, so I had to make something for the grips to stay on. And the way I've done this is I have this tube locks into this piece where I machined it down. The grips are epoxied to the tube inside. They slide back in. I wouldn't slide this all the way out because it would be a real you-know-what to get it back on. So I would you only really need to slide it out just a little bit to get the pommel off and to get access to it. So this slides back in place perfectly. And when it slides back, the cover tech lines up. There's a hole drilled and tapped in here that lines up perfectly. So when the cover tech goes on, the cover tech keeps that tube in place. It's not going to move. It's very tight anyway, but that will secure it for it's definitely not going to come out. Then I have the pommel cap that I made. This was a solid chunk of aluminum at one point. Machined it down, threaded and tapped it for, drilled and tapped it for the recharge port. It is held on by set screws. So this is held on inside. It goes inside. It's held on by set screws to the tube. The tube is then held in place by tension and also the cover tech screw. So that way it's not going anywhere. But the sound font that I have on here is 1/6 Graflex 5, but with a custom Anakin boot. So you'll hear that here in a little bit. But I feel that the sound font is a good match for. There isn't a really great Episode 2 sound font out there that I really liked enough. There's Nova Stars, which is really good, but it just didn't have that really bassy quality that I felt that Anakin Saber does in the movie. So maybe I just have a bad copy of it. I'm not sure. I did get it. But anyway, that's the one I chose for this font, and I made a custom boot for it. But this was a complex install. I have done mine in the past, and I wasn't really so happy with it because I always had to open it up to get to the recharge port. So I'm going to be redoing mine like this. So far this one has turned out really great. I really like how it turned out. A few things could be done differently if we had a different core design. But anyway, so here it is. So once this is all open, you have your SD card access. You can see it down in there. You'll just need those pliers to get to it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to button it up like it's supposed to be, and you can kind of see the process. So this just threads on. Nice and tight. And this will go in here. Now, these are 440 set screws. So they take a tiny little Allen wrench. You want to screw them in so they're flush. So when they push in, when this whole part pushes in, you don't have anything blocking the way. Oops. It's just, I don't know if the camera's even capturing what I'm doing. I think it is. Okay. Just get it flush. Okay, so here, this just pushes in, and it matches up perfectly. Then, what we'll do is we'll take our cover tech, start that thread, and you want to push down on that rib. These ribs float, that's just how they're designed. So you want to push that down, get this threaded nice and tight. You don't want to over tighten it, you just want to get it snug. So you don't need these grips to come off. Nice and snug, no rattling. And there it is. It's secure. Boom. I think it's probably out of focus, so let me move my tools out of the way and I will show you what it looks like. So there we go. There's our secure grip. Everything's nice, tight, secure. So I want to talk about a little bit more about what I did to this conversion. As you can see, it's got a Tri-Rebel blue, blue, blue. I machined down a custom Saber Shop heatsink to fit just in front of those two accent LEDs. Those accent LEDs are non-functional. I machined down a heatsink cover to fit just over and encompass and enclose that heatsink and the Tri-Rebel, so the blade has something to stop against that's not the actual plastic for the lens. There's not a lot of blade depth, but this right here is your blade retention screw. I want to show you what I did to this. I got this idea from MH from the FX Sabers forum. This didn't have enough depth on its own, so what I did was exactly what he did. I drilled it and tapped it for 440 and put a little 440 set screw in there, so now it has a little bit more length for blade retention. And that is your blade retention screw. If I can just get it to thread, there we go. So, another thing I did was I made, so you don't see any visible switches except for the buttons here. The way I did mine, I had all this kind of rigging underneath and things like that. What I did with this one is I completely revised how I did it. These are going to be solid. They shouldn't move at all. They're epoxied solid in there unless you just really drop it on there or jam it for some reason. They should be perfectly in space where they are. This middle one that's just a very tiny bit lower is your activation button. There's a momentary switch under there, and it's your activation button. Now let me show you the custom boot. It is the slaughter scene, the short slaughter scene after Anakin finds his mother and she dies. So I thought that was kind of appropriate. There's a lot of action in episode 2 where Anakin gets to fight things, but that's probably the most profound for the character as far as his what happens to him and his decisions he makes. So that's the custom boot sound, and then we have our momentary switch. Nice and loud. The speaker is a custom Saber Shop 20mm 3-watt. I had to machine a custom little resonance chamber for it, and the Nano Biscotte sits inside that resonance chamber as well. Even with that, it doesn't have any vibration problems at all. Just nice and loud. And let me put a blade in it real quick and show you guys. So, and I've tried so many blades, and I have custom Saber Shop blades. I have Vader's Vault blades. I have all kinds of blades, and none of them really fit perfectly. The ones that come closest are Custom Saber Shop and this Vader. And this one's a Vader's Vault, but I had to shave it down to fit into my Star Killer. I'm thinking, Randy, I might need to sell you this blade. It's the only one that I could find that really fits really well in it. So that might be the best option. But anyway, here's the blade set in, tightened down. So there it is. Now I want to show you the two father-son together.
This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight.
Now the two different blades into your eye make things look a little bit more differently. The blade on the left is the Custom Saber Shop Ultra Jello Clear that I made, and it seems brighter than the Vader's Vault one, but they're generally the same. So there it is. There's the two sabers, looking good, ready to go. Just need to get them packed up.